Welcome from my side. I want to welcome you to our AIES talk on the topic of Turkey's great power ambitions. It is a great pleasure that we can welcome today an outstanding scientist, a personality that is truly European and truly Turkish at the same time, because he was born near or close to Edirne, the former Ottoman capital before Istanbul, Constantinople became the capital of the Ottoman Empire. It was Edirne, old Hadrian's city. And I want to welcome a person that probably many of you will be knowing. It is Professor Hüseyin Bağcı from Ankara. Heartily welcome to you. Hüseyin Bağcı was born, as I said, in 1959 in Edirne, so he had already some fine birthday celebration a little bit more than 1 year ago. And he has really an outstanding scientific career. After school, which he made in Turkey, he went to Germany. He studied at the Friedrich Wilhelms University in Bonn. Afterwards, he also practiced as a researcher and a senior researcher at the Deutsche Gesellschaft für Außenpolitik, the German Society for Foreign Affairs, and also the Center for European Integration Studies. Afterwards, of course, he had, as I said, quite a career. He came to Austria and he worked at the National Defense Academy in Vienna for quite some years. He published a lot and also made many presentations. He became not only a member of those institutions, but also of AIES in London and also of the Center for European Policy Studies, CEPS, in Brussels. He became a visiting professor in Bonn and in Rome and in Berlin and in Lublin in Poland. And of course, as his major post, you could say, he became professor for international relations at the Middle East Technical University in Ankara. And he did not only have an outstanding academic career, but he also is quite famous as a commentator for Turkish and international politics in radio and TV and many papers, international papers in Turkey and all over Europe. So far, it is really my pleasure to welcome Professor Hüseyin Bağcı.
Minister, thank you very much for this kind introduction, and I hope it will be a very fruitful discussion in the coming minutes.
Yeah, just a few years ago, when somebody spoke about Turkey and a great power, then probably most people associated the Ottoman Empire, because Turkey was in a very recognized position as a highly developing country. You could say a big country, of course, with a great history. But it was not in the status of acting as a great power. And this certainly has changed quite a bit in the last years. What do I mean? Just look at the situation in Syria. Suddenly, Turkey became not only an actor, but one of the decisive actors. Just a few years later, it became also a decisive actor in Libya. It became not only a decisive actor, but it brought the victory in the South Caucasian conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia. And of course, it also became a factor now in the last big incident on the international stage in Afghanistan. So far, this is a tremendous development. Almost nobody would have expected, let me say, 5 or 6 years ago. And so far, my first question will be to Professor Hüseyin Bağcı. What is the basis? What is the mental basis, and what is the real basis for this not only great ambition, but also for the fact that Turkey has become one of the most important and most active players, not only in the Middle East, but in so many cases around the world?
Thank you. This question is, of course, very interesting, and we have to see this from different perspectives. First of all, has Turkey really great ambitions, great power ambitions? If yes, and to what degree? The second point is, what is the reason behind this philosophical, political behavior that Turkey is intending to be not only the kingmaker, but the game maker in this region? Of course, we have to follow the regional and global developments in order to understand this situation. There is the strategic discourse in Turkey in recent years that is used as we have historical responsibility. What it means, historical responsibility, from the Balkans to Caucasia, from Central Asia even to Mediterranean, and why Turkey is considered by some as aggressive power, expansionist policy following country. How far all these questions are through, I will tell now as far as I can from my point of view. First of all, the Turkish government since 20 years already, since 2002, there is one political leader. As first he was prime minister and then now president in the last 4 years, which is of course also called as going back to Ottoman Empire. It was discussed within the new Ottomanism aspirations with the Turkish foreign minister, and then before it was the advisor Ahmet Davutoğlu. The Arab Spring, of course, accelerated this type of discussions that in the Middle East, particularly Turkey, was becoming suddenly one of the countries which had to be part of this process, and Turkey was the consciousness of the Middle East before, not taking side by any domestic as well as regional political developments in the Arab world. Turkey was the consciousness of the Middle East, bringing Israel and the Arab countries like Syria, like Egypt together. But with this Arab Spring, Turkey changed certain political behavior. We call it here in Turkey miscalculation, overstretch, and also that Turkey had created type of ambitions that the capacity and capability of Turkey could not fulfill all these expectations. Therefore, as you said, Turkey is a regional power. I mean, with its 84 million people, 26 in the world population, 24th of the geographic location, territorial, I would say, greatness, and also among the first global economies among G20. All this, of course, created in Turkey a new self-confidence. I can only say that this new self-confidence explained itself also in Turkish intervention, be it in Nagorno-Karabakh, as you mentioned, or in Libya, or in the Balkans, and now recently also in the Black Sea, where the Turkish-Russian relations have, to a certain degree, also not converging but contradicting interest. So the Turkish policy, zero problem with the neighboring countries by the former prime minister and foreign minister, Ahmet Davutoğlu was good on the paper, but it was not to realize on the field. So Turkey, to my view, is one of the losers of the Arab Spring. At the end of the day, Turkey has alienated herself from the Arab countries, from Israel, as well as, of course, created certain space in the Mediterranean and in the Aegean. I include here the Turkish-Greek relations, that Turkey was considered as a big power. It is true, but the question is how far the Turkish economic conditions could fulfill these expectations. I think Turkey is a member of NATO. Turkey is a negotiating partner with the European Union, full membership, and Turkey is recently expanded also the Turkic alliance with the Caucasian and Central Asian republics. Turkey has a multifaceted problems, multifaceted relations, bilaterally and multilaterally. But at the same time, Turkey is also considered by the big powers, be it America, China, or Russia, as one of the partners. For the Chinese, one road, one belt policy is one of them. Turkey plays an important key role in this. Now and in future, Turkey will play this. With Americans, Turkey has bilaterally certain problems in northern Syria or in Iraq concerning the PKK, PYD question. But at the same time, Turkey is a member of NATO, and the development of NATO in the future as military alliance is also put into question, not only by Donald Trump and President Macron, but also now Joe Biden tries to bring the transatlantic countries together and try to get a common stance against China, which is another debate probably, which I do not go into detail now. But more importantly, Mr. Minister, of course, the Turkish-Russian relations. The Turkish-Russian relations experienced a renaissance in the year 2000 and onwards. Since Putin came to power in 2000 and Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan 2003, he was creating a common understanding with the Russians, and Russia became number 4 trade partner of Turkey. The Cold War atmosphere was out. New type of cooperation started until 2015, when Turkey shut down the Russian jet fighter in Syria. Within 9 months, Turkey lost at least $50 billion because of this closing down of the relations from White Russia to Mongolia. And it was very difficult to restart the relations with Russia. After 9 months, it lasted, and we call it from honeymoon to separation and then reunification later on. Reunification in the sense that Turkey and Russia, not only on energy sector, but also now on military sector, they cooperate. And the recent meeting between Vladimir Putin and Tayyip Erdogan in Sochi just last week indicated that Turkey and Russia will continue to have more relations, starting from energy to defense industry, as well as to space research. But they are all the big projects which cannot be realized fast. Therefore, Turkey and Russia are neighbors, not only on the Black Sea and on Caucasia now, but also in the Middle East, because Russia is in Syria, and Turkey, Iran, and Russia are the 3 countries within the Astana process that they guarantee the territorial integrity of Syrian state. So this is on the one hand where the cooperation is extended, but at the same time, Russia and Turkey do not have similar views what concerns Idlib. Idlib is now the headquarters, if you want, of all the radical forces, from Al-Qaeda to ISIS and many other like Turkistan Islamic Party and many other radical groups. They are all in Idlib, and Turkey supported the Free Syrian Army, which is considered by Russia and by Syria as a terrorist organization, but educated and trained by Turkey. There is a big misunderstanding, or they cannot have the same views, because in recent times the Russian bombardments in Idlib created also that a lot of Turkish soldiers lost their lives, and this is another point which was discussed in Sochi last week. But as far as we can see, there were not concrete results concerning Idlib. Then Turkey's biggest problem in Idlib is twofold. One, Idlib could be a new migration wave region. More than 1 million people would come to Turkey, and Turkey has already 4 million Syrians as refugees, and the president and the other government ministers said Turkey cannot accept any more refugees from Syria. So it is somehow the possibility that this migration wave would happen is a nightmare for Turkish president as well as for the Turkish government. The second point is the presence in Syria. Mr. Minister, you are right that the Turkish presence in Syria was considered or is considered as an expansionist power political ambitions of Turkey. I do not think so. One reason is this: Turkey's presence in Syria was inevitable because all the people running away, coming to Turkey, were accepted. And with this migration wave, also PKK terrorism was getting very active. What happened? If the central government, I mean here Bashar al-Assad regime, could not control certain areas, and if there is a threat, terrorist threat perception, according to Article 51 of the United Nations, Turkey has undertaken, this is also the interpretation among the most intellectuals here in Turkey, Article 51, saying that there is a gray zone, no control by any political power, so we have to defend our territory and our citizens. And it is true, Turkey was getting 3 operations in Syria, very successfully, by the way, and also mostly these operations carried out by the production of Turkish weapons. What Turkey has done a big step in the recent years concerning the defense industry, getting less and less dependent on the depending on the other countries. Concerning the Syria, this is my view. I tell it publicly here in Turkey. The more Turkey, the Turkish president does not speak to government of or president of Syria, the more costly it will be for Turkey, the presence of Turkey in Syria, economically, politically, and also from administrative point of view. The question is how Turkey and Bashar al-Assad regime could come back to good old days where both presidents were speaking, and Turkey signed 155 bilateral treaties with Syria, suggested Syria to become associate member of the European Union. Since 2004 until 2012, Turkey was one of the biggest supporters of Syria in economic terms also. So the question is here, the worsening of the relations with Syrian regime since last 10 years, of course, created and changed many things in the region. Will Turkey leave Syria? The question is yes, under the condition that also the Americans leave the country, as President Putin and Bashar al-Assad demanded recently, that all foreign forces have to leave Syria. Yes, if the Syrian government, of course, guarantees that the refugees in Syria are free to go back to their homeland, and their financial, their administrative, and security will be provided and controlled by an international commission or by an international treaty. We will see whether it will be the case, but the new constitution of Syria will, of course, very important in this respect. The other issue, Caucasia, maybe, where Turkey and Russia...
Maybe before we go into the other places, just a few words from my side. You know, you designed already the picture of Syria, but I think there are some questions that came up in addition to it, because I mean, Turkey is occupying more or less almost the whole north of the country of Syria, around about 4 million people in Syria under Turkish control. And the question will be whether there is a real will to go out, due to the fact that also Turkey is trying, you know, in the former Kurdish settled areas to settle now people with Arab descent, with Arab origin, Sunni Arabs, more or less creating a living barrier between the Kurdish people within Turkey and in Syria. And on the other hand, you also have the big challenge, you know, in Idlib, that it is not just a big city, but this is more or less the concentration of radical Islamist organizations and leaders coming from Al-Qaeda, as you said, but also from Daesh, from ISIS, and so on. And now we have also a new situation that for the first time also most of the Arab countries try now to start a new phase in relationship with Syria. King Abdullah was the first one who called President Assad just in the last days, you know, and also Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, and so on are trying. Insofar, it looks for me that the game by far is not over, but that there are new movements. So far, the question will be, I mean, can Turkey really give up Idlib? Can it leave the northern part of, as it was called, Rojava, to Assad's government or not? Is this something that really is on the stake, or is it more or less a diplomatic discussion about developments that will not happen in reality?
Yeah, good question. Definitely, there are some concerns, of course. It all depends from which perspective you look. If you consider Turkey as an occupying country, fine, Turkey is there, this is true. But occupation, under what sense? To control the area and include those territories to Turkish territory, or try to protect the people there, their lives, that they are not attacked by radical force or by the central government. The Russians bombed, and Turkey lost just last year 36 soldiers by airstrike, and Turkish public is unhappy with the situation. If you ask me, Professor Bağcı, what is your real view about this? From the very beginning, I said Turkey should not intervene in Syria one-sidedly. I said this publicly. I repeated it here again. My colleague, Professor Davutoğlu, who was then foreign minister, I said, don't intervene in Syria, you do wrong, and don't tell me later on that nobody has warned you that you do wrong. 10 years later, I asked Davutoğlu on a television program this year, and I asked this. I said, you have done so big mistakes there. Would you have done the same? He said, yes. So he's not changing his view. I'm not changing my view. And we, the Turks, we pay the price. The question is here, Mr. Minister, is Turkey consuming security or providing security in this part of Syria. Because there is no central government authority, of course, Turkey naturally reacted to this. But at the end of the day, Syria is a member of the United Nations. The territorial integrity of Syria is guaranteed by Turkey within the Astana Treaty, which means, of course, Turkey has to leave the area. I do not expect that Turkey can continue to be there forever. It is a temporary seeking for protection. Rojava and the other areas, we know that the Kurds in northern Syria, also at the moment in Kamishliv area, for example, they control 25% of Syrian territory, agriculturally very productive, oil fields are there, and the Russians and the Americans support the Kurds, PYD there, because they served successfully, I must say, fighting ISIS as the local forces. They were helping Syria, Russia, and America to defeat ISIS, and they contributed for this. No doubt, this is why Americans provide a lot of weapons and infrastructural help to PYD and the related organizations. But the fact remains, the Turkey, in case of Big Idlib, Turkey is stuck in a road which no end. Either Turkey has to give up the support of Free Syrian Army, or to take them inside of the country, or send them to somewhere together with Russia. Probably in Sochi they talked about it, but couldn't find any solution. Putin and Erdogan probably at the moment they were not able to produce any solution for this, how to get all the radical forces out of the city. And this is uncontrollable. I do not think that Turkey controls the city, but one of the powers with Russia, they try to control this M4 transit road in the up and down areas, so that the extremists cannot expand. But the problem remains. I agree with this, and even I call it radical groups garbage. It's like a garbage. All the unnecessary things or used things are in the garbage, but the question is, who is taking the garbage out of there? Turkey cannot do it alone, as far as I can see, and the Russians neither. So it remains unsolved problem for now.
I agree absolutely. This certainly will stay an open question, because all the involved partners, whether this is Turkey or Iran or Russia or Assad, are interested in overtaking the radical forces from Daesh or from Al-Qaeda. And insofar, the big question will be, what shall happen with this element, let me say, this political element in Idlib? How can you solve it? And I guess this certainly will take time. And this also brings me, to the principal questions. As you know, in military strategies, there are usually three elements. This is power, this is space, and this is time. And when we talk about Turkey as a great power and its ambitions, you have to say, certainly one of the most important where this big power ambition is grounded is the question of space, because Turkey has such a unique geostrategic position between Northern Africa, the Caucasian region, the Balkans, the Middle East, and so on, and also between the Eastern Mediterranean, the Black Sea, and the Caspian region, an absolutely outstanding strategic situation. And also on the power sector, it has quite something to offer. You mentioned it already, but what I think there is one factor that is absolutely important. Turkey has military power. It has not only a big number of soldiers, but also a very well-trained army and also a very well-equipped army. And this is something that makes Turkey a factor in international politics due to the fact, that Turkey has around about, I don't know, more than 500,000 soldiers. Turkey probably can bring more on a war field, more soldiers. Solving it, and I will go back. Okay, thank you very much. What I wanted to say is, that obviously the Turkish government realized also that there was, in the factor time, something open due to the retreat of the United States from the Middle East, from US going out, that brought some open space for within a certain period for Turkey. And these three factors, of course, are quite interesting. If we go further on now, and maybe we try to talk a little bit about the situation in Libya. This was more or less for many people a surprise, because Turkey was not on the place, and suddenly it made a coup. It made a deal with the official recognized government and became the only opponent to General Haftar. And suddenly Turkey was on the field in a situation that nobody had expected before. Now we're in the situation that people try, in the Berlin process to have elections in December, maybe. But of course, there's the open questions of troops going out, and maybe just your very personal impression. How do you see the situation in Libya? Is there the chance to reunite the country effectively, or is the probability that East and West will be somehow just living close to each other or aside each other, is this probability much higher?
Thank you again for this question. First of all, I made, of course, several comments about this publicly. And one of my comments was Turkey is in Libya because of the historical reasons and because of the also demand by the United Nations officially recognized government. They came to Turkey. Turkey signed the agreement, being as protectorate of this country. And on the 24th of December this year, we will have the elections. But the most important point is also Libyans demand that all the foreign forces have to leave the country. Turkey is there physically and historically, this is true. Even the Turkish drones are there. We have also latest discussions about Turkish strategic discourse, the dronization of Turkish foreign policy. The Turkish drones now play a very important role. They played a role in Nagorno-Karabakh, they played on the northern Iraq, and now also in Libya. I met also some of the government officials from Libya when they came to Ankara, and I told some of them, of course I cannot tell everything here, but the fact remains Turkey served to a certain degree for the officially recognized government as an outside supporter, historically welcomed by the people. And General Haftar made, to my mind, a very wrong decision. He chose the wrong side, or he stood on the wrong side of the river. Let me put it like this. But Mr. Haftar was also in Ankara a couple of years ago. The Turkish government did not show too much attention to him, and this is why he does not like Turkey very much. And as someone who read the biography of Mr. Haftar, we can only say that Turkey is interested in economic, infrastructural, and political stability of Libya. It was even before Colonel Gaddafi, when Turkey intervened in 1974 in Cyprus. It was Libya which provided Turkey oil and the jet fighter tires and all the later on developments for the Turkish construction companies that Turkey was making a lot of money from Libya. I think Libya is a common problem for all Mediterranean countries. France is there, Egypt is there, Greece is there, Italy is there, and there are changing alliances. And when recently the 7 Mediterranean countries came together, excluding Turkey from this meeting, we said in Turkey was so successful in alienating herself from the Mediterranean developments. This is another, in quotation, success, that all the countries are against Turkey. Even the Israelis were part of this. Usually Israel was always supporting Turkey. But now, Mr. Minister, Turkey made a wrong investment politically in the Middle East countries. Turkey used a different rhetoric, which created concern and question mark in the heads of Arab countries, be it Saudi Arabia or United Arab Emirates, even Egypt, when Sisi came to power. Since 2013, Turkey and Egyptian relations are very cooled down. Turkey is not speaking to Egypt. This is very bad because Turkey and Egypt actually are two regional powers where they were talking before about the developments like President Mitterrand and Helmut Kohl have done when they talked about the European developments in the early 90s. So Turkey, unfortunately, this is my constructive critique, Turkey used a very aggressive rhetoric. This is something which we criticize in Turkey very strongly. Also towards European countries, this polarizing, aggressive rhetoric now like a boomerang coming back. Turkey was alienated from the Mediterranean countries, alienated from the Arab countries. Now Turkey changed the rhetoric, tries to approach to countries now and try to get better relations because the government realized with this type of rhetoric we cannot continue. Libya, at the end of the day, when the elections will take place and when the new government is there, there will be a new type of relations. The new government probably will not give so much credit to Turkey as the previous by UN recognized government. But this agreement concerning the sea borders, what Turkey signed with Libya, created a new debate in the Mediterranean concerning the economic zones, NAFTEX as we call them. Turkey is also searching for oil and gas in the Mediterranean. The Israeli position and the Egyptian position are very important here. Turkey talk now, not at the highest level, but the negotiations, the talks going on, which I do also welcome a lot because I find it wrong not to talk to Egypt. I mean, Egypt is the mother of the Arab culture and also Arab League. So from this perspective, let me put it, do it like this. Iran, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia are three countries which sought the regional power status. And when you look to Turkey, to Saudi Arabia and Iran, you see they are not the same. They are all Muslims, but the Turks are not the Arabs. Arabs are not the Iranians. Iranians are not Turks. And we have a formula, Mr. Minister, like this. In the Middle East, Turkey is against the Arab countries. Arab countries and Turkey are against Iran. Arabs and Iran is against Turkey, and Iran and Turkey against the Arabs. So this is a circulation, because these three cultures, these three big empires in the past, they continue, of course, their historical claims. And now for Turkey, I would say Turkey returns to common sense again, that Turkey saw that there were a lot of mistakes, and now retreating back without losing the face, and starting the dialogue and negotiations, which I find really important. Only maybe one sentence. In Syria, Mr. Minister, Turkey tested the extremes with Russia, testing the extremes to be there physically, administratively, economically. It is not easy. You are right. The appearance of Turkey is indeed a great power politics. I agree with this. Maybe I should tell it to you now. Exactly what you see behind me, Foreign Policy Institute. This is my room here. I had six Iranians, and 4 of them were journalists. And one of these journalists, a woman, I welcomed them in my room. I said, thank you very much that you visit. The first question was, why you have such an aggressive policy? I said, excuse me, I think I have home right, you know. Straightforward. Why you have such an aggressive policy? I said, you have not less aggressive policy than Turkey if I look to Yemen and to other areas. But the fact is, even with Iran, Turkey is so close, having neighboring country, we have a different position in Nagorno-Karabakh, because Turkey supports Nagorno-Karabakh, Israel supports Azerbaijan, and Iran supports Armenia. Is another discussion. But concerning the Turkey's big power expectations or aspirations, I think the government of Turkey now and in future, of course, they will try to create a security environment through the alliances, because this is the classical Turkish foreign policy, to get alliances around ourselves, be it Sadabad Pact or Baghdad Pact or Balkan Pact, NATO. So within this so sensitive area, of course, Turkey's neutrality is out of question. So this is exactly why Turkey is very close to NATO. And now the European security, for example, again depends on 4 non-European Union countries: Russia, Turkey, America, and the United Kingdom. But concerning the developments in Libya and in the Mediterranean, the basic question will be oil and gas questions. Turkey is getting a lot of oil and gas from there. Turkey is nearly 90%, very much depending on the gas and oil import. When on the Black Sea, there were some good news this year that Turkey did discover new fields of gas. It was like a great festival, carnival in Turkey, that Turkey will have its own natural gas reserves, which is, of course, not yet there. The news is there, but not the gas. And this is why Turkey depends on Russian gas. And the Russians, Mr. Minister, I think Vladimir Putin is a good chess player. Turkish president is a good backgammon. You know, this backgammon is important. You always throw 6-6, the highest number. Erdogan, in this respect, is very lucky man. Even Machiavelli would envy him concerning this fortune. He is very fortunate in international politics. Something happen and suddenly he can keep his position again. But the Russians play chess and they think 3 stages before, and Putin probably is the most happiest political leader now in the area. Is now moving more and more to Russia, and Russians of course also try to make the best of it, but, and there is the but, Turkey is still a member of the West. Turkey does not change the direction. The Middle Easternization foreign policy of Turkey didn't function. Turkey was not successful. The orientation towards Russia is a temporary one. It is not forever. The Turkish direction remains with Europe and with the United States of America.
Yeah, this is a point, you know, on the one hand, of course, there is some change of position. On the other hand, I mean, if you look to the 3 places, Syria, Libya, and also Nagorno-Karabakh, the South Caucasian region, yeah. Turkey was more or less at the other side of the Russian position. And of course, yes, also it destroyed some Russian position. I mean, nobody would have thought that, okay, it was so easy for Azerbaijan, with especially with Turkish assistance, you know, to reconquer Nagorno-Karabakh and more or less get in the strong position, okay, due to the fact that Armenia always was heavily protected by Russia. But it was not only a political question, maybe due to a more Western-oriented position of the Armenian prime minister, but also due to the fact that Turkish troops, you know, or Turkish trained and educated, guided troops from Azerbaijan beat also Russian positions within this war due to the superior quality of the drones, and more or less showed, you know, that also the military capability of Russia is somehow limited, at least in some places, if you do not look at the nuclear capabilities. But the normal, conventional capabilities, of course, Turkey showed that it was more or less on an equal level due to the or compared to the Russians, and this certainly also brought a new situation for the Russians. Turkey has become more or less a rival, let me say, as a great power within this region, and therefore, of course, also this balanced politics, Erdogan's balanced politics between United States and Russia, of course, do have some effect. But don't you think that at the end, of course, this rivalry between Turkey and Russia will become the main component of this relationship?
It will depend to the new government in Turkey if there is a change in 2023 when the presidential elections come out that Erdogan is not anymore there, then we will see. But until that time, President Erdogan played a very good game, I must say, concerning Nagorno-Karabakh. It got the constant of Vladimir Putin, support also the Azerbaijani forces, and definitely the war plans mostly prepared by Turkey. This is for sure. And the Turkish drones made a huge contribution, and the young man who created these Turkish drones got the highest medal of Azerbaijan. But we may not forget, of course, also Israel provided a lot of military support to Azerbaijan. And Mr. Pashinyan made a big mistake. He was not in the same line with Putin, and Putin wanted to give him a lecture, slap to the face, if you want. And Turkey and Azerbaijan, I agree with you, use this time and space components on the right time to solve this since 27 years non-solved conflict, the occupation of Azeri lands, and now they are free and belong to Azerbaijan. And Turkey signed with Azerbaijan the Shusha agreement, which means that if Azerbaijan is attacked by a third country, then Turkey will be standing with Azerbaijan. This is why President Aliyev is now getting a very big leader, a big president of Azerbaijan, unifying the Azeri lands. And this is true. When the Turkish troops were moving after the victory on the streets of Baku, it was very interesting because the Turkish army is trained really very good. The moral capability and capacity is very high. And I think the Armenian army has no chance to fight against the Turkish army. It is not case. The issue is now, since 1992, Armenia rejected to participate in the regional project where Turkey was leading or part of it. I have been twice in Armenia. I spoke to Armenian National Security Council. I talked to Mr. Nalbantian, the foreign minister. I spoke on Armenian television more than 1 hour, 30 minutes. And I had met the people, debated, discussed. And I think Armenia, with this isolation policy or nationalistic policies, cannot go any more further. So Armenia should be involved in the regional projects, also within the One Road, One Belt projects. Caucasia countries, Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan, they could become the praline empires as Luxembourg, Netherlands, and Belgium. I think just yesterday, Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Georgia signed a defense treaty. Armenia is not there. Maybe in future, Armenia will join certain projects. The Turkish border to Armenia, to my view, should be opened as soon as possible. My dream, I told to Foreign Minister Nalbantian in Yerevan, I said, my dream is to take Turkish Airlines from Istanbul directly to Yerevan, not go through Vienna, because in order to go to Armenia, you have to fly first to Vienna and take the plane and go to Armenia, which I did, by the way. And so it is just 1 hour, 15 minutes flight, actually. Otherwise, it takes you 7 hours, 8 hours. The thing is, we have a new phase now in our history. The Armenians' rapprochement now to be much closer to Turkey is very much welcomed. Also, the Azerbaijanis have interest that they cooperate. The Azerbaijan, as far as I can see, has no interest in any Armenian territory. It is out of the question. The thing is here, how Russia and Turkey will contribute for the political and economic stability in this region. Russia still considers this area as back garden of Russia. I understand this because those countries, Caucasian countries, they have with Russia specific security arrangements as well as political arrangements. So it will be not the case that Turkey is taking Azerbaijan away from Russia. No, it will be not the case. And this this development is unique, and indeed Turkish drones made a good job, and the tanks, the Russian tanks were destroyed, and the Russians didn't involve so strong militarily.
Yeah, this certainly shaped the new strategic situation in the South Caucasian area as far as I see it, and this will be highly interesting also for the future. Now maybe let's talk a few words also. You mentioned already Turkish Airlines. You know, there was just a few days ago the big question whether Turkish Airlines should overtake Kabul airport. And this was more or less a very strong signal also for Turkish influence in Afghanistan. Not only due to this fact, but also Turkey more or less protector of Qatar. The negotiations between the Taliban and Americans in Doha, the capital, this all signalizes very clearly, that this is more than just a project between two states. So far, my open question, how do you see the situation in Afghanistan and Turkish possibilities and chances, to positively influence the situation in Afghanistan?
Concerning the Turkish Airlines, it is true that Turkish Airlines technicians are already there at the airport. Turkey was providing the security also within NATO ISAF. But now we have a new situation, and Taliban, of course, want to be recognized. Taliban wants to be integrated into the international law and economy, and Turkey is definitely one of the countries which will continue to have the relations. But we are not. Turkey is not game maker there. Turkey is not game maker. Turkey is part of the business, but not in the first lines, let's say, not in the first 5 countries. What Turkey could do there, starting from the secular structure of Turkey to women's rights, children's rights, Turkey can exercise value pressure on Taliban, that Taliban in 1 year probably will be not so harsh than it will be the case today. Today, in one of my newspaper interviews, I said Taliban will be educated by the international law and by the international economic realities. If you are in power as a group, you have to run the country. You need administrative people, you need economists, you need teachers, universities. So it is not a group that can think everything, but to realize your ideas as a state, you have to, of course, respect the international rules, simply international law. So simply, if you continue to be part of the United Nations. But it will be a long process, I must say. Taliban will be educated, but we need time. So they will face the realities of everyday life. If you do not fulfill the expectations of the people, doesn't matter whether your name is Taliban or ISIS, at the end of the day, the people look for jobs, for healthcare, for education. So they are the basic demands by the people. Doesn't matter whether you are a dictator or group or democratic government, doesn't matter. You have to fulfill the expectations of the man on the street. In the street. So from this perspective, Taliban's rhetoric is also softened, as we can see in recent weeks, and it will be much softer in the long run. Nobody until now recognized Taliban regime. I suggest publicly in Turkey that Turkey should not be the first country to recognize Taliban, which is totally different when the Turkish republics became independent after Soviet dissolution. That I suggested at that time as a young academic, Turkey should recognize those countries as the first, but not Afghanistan case. Taliban is another matter, and Turkey should be very careful. But it does not mean not to have the dialogue. Turkey should have dialogue like the other countries. Turkey should act with the international community together to educate Taliban according to international law and to international economic conditions.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, it would be interesting now also to talk about Iraq and Central Asia, but our AIES talk usually is lasting 1 hour, and we are coming closer to an end. And so far, I also want to go maybe also to restrictions to great power ambitions. As I said, military, the strong political will, the vision is a factor, and especially also the phenomenal geostrategic situation of Turkey. This almost makes it, as your former Foreign Minister Davutoglu formulated it, Turkey a central power anyhow, in any situation. But when I say but, what I see maybe as one of the biggest problems and challenges certainly is the economic question. I mean, Turkey is a big country, 10 times bigger from the population and also from the size as Austria. It has more inhabitants as Germany. But if you look, to the gross national product, you can see that, of course, Turkey only has around about between a fourth and a fifth of the economic power of Germany, and this will bring limits. And if I look to the situation, I saw that, the inflation rate in September was around about 20% high, and especially food prices go up and so on. And what you mentioned just, that every government will be dependent also on the acceptance of the people on the street and the man of the street. How do you see the economic development, and especially also the economic development that, of course, is also somehow dependent on goodwill from the Americans, from the Europeans, and in this power situation and power balance between Washington and Moscow, how do you see the economic question?
With one sentence, with one word, how is the Turkish economy? I would say bad. With two words, very bad. But this situation can be changed. It's a mismanagement, first of all. Turkey had better times between 2002 2012. Turkey had increasing nearly 10% in a year. Together with China, Turkey was among the top countries. So every year increasing in economic terms. 2014, Turkey had per capita income around $13,000, and now it reduced to $8,000. So it means Turkey is getting, in this respect, poorer. The reason, Mr. Minister, is the presidential system. I do not agree that the Turkish presidential system is successful because only one man decides about the Turkish economy, changing 4 times central bank director and not following the central bank realities. Of course, politically, you can make the decisions, but economy has its own rules. And at the moment, officially is 20% the inflation, but on the real sense, it is more than 40%. I know a little bit mathematics, and I can count my salary, and I know how the prices are changing on the market. So from this perspective, Turkey is now in the atmosphere of early elections. Probably next year we are going to have early elections. At the moment, the Turkish economic signals are not good. If it will go like this, maybe in 2022 or 23, Turkey will be not among the first 20 economies in the world. So G20, this is a very dangerous development. But under new management, of course, Turkey can do better. Turkey has capabilities, human capacities are very good. Turkey is rich in resources. Turkey is rich concerning the sunshine. We expect more tourists from Austria, of course, after COVID. And what is more important, Turkey is getting less and less dependent on defense sector. Turkey is producing, in military terms, a lot. Unfortunately, the rhetoric, this polarization within the country and outside of the country created big problems. I would call that Turkey should be a trade nation, Handelsstaat. Turkey should not give the impression to neighboring countries that Turkey is consuming security, but rather Turkey should produce security. And what is more important, of course, Turkey has 6 million refugees in the country. 4 million of them are the Syrians. And Turkey paid officially more than $80 billion in the last 10 years. It is a huge economic burden, of course. But this is life. This is the reality, and Turkey had to help to those people. And Turkey deserves, in this respect, great bravo from the world. And migration issue is also a common problem with the European Union. This migration treaty from 2016 will be renewed. There are debates going on, and I think Turkey, despite all the problems, can get much better economic conditions. Once again, we had this. So only thing is to change certain, I would say, structures, certain visions, and then go up economically further after COVID in particular. Of course, COVID created a lot of troubles, not only in my country, everywhere in the world. This is a challenge for all the countries. The only problem is the Turkish people suffered more than maybe some other nations. But, you know, if you're a good tradesman, you can make always money, use the opportunities. And Turkey is in this geo-economic location, in this geostrategic location, would always find a way to improve the economic conditions. The basic idea is to keep the democratic values, secular structures, and of course, be followers of the science and technology. Turkey should produce more, and we have the capacity, and I'm very confident about the future of the country.
Okay. Yeah, Professor, before I want to thank you, I want to announce also our next AIS talk next week. Next week, we will have it in German language, Umbrüche in Europa, which means upheaval in Europe, radical changes in Europe. And my partner for the AIS talk will be Ursula Plasnik, our former foreign minister. We tried already last week, but we had to cancel it due to technological problems we had, but I think we have solved this, and so far we are looking forward to Ursula Plasnik next week. And now I really want to thank you. We had to leave out, as I said, you know, the situation between Turkey and the West, whether it is United States and Europe especially. This is one big chapter. Also, you know, the question, how will be the future relations, not only in the neighborhood, but also with China and Russia. So the big picture, and this brings me to the point that I not only want to thank you, but also I want to foresee another AIS talk with you on these issues, because Turkey has overtaken the position as a great power, at least as a great regional power, as a central power in the Middle East. And insofar, it will be really a great pleasure to invite you once again and to talk with you about those challenges. Professor, thank you so much. And all the best in Ankara. Hope to see you pretty soon.
Thank you. With great pleasure. All the best. Bye-bye.
Okay. I want to welcome all our guests.